Alright, it's a brand new day. I got a lot to do. Let's get started. Alright, I've got the cooling system all plumbed in. The radiator right up here. The radiator is actually in backwards how it was originally in the bike, but the lines are all correct. The overflow jug, I've just kind of hung it right here, and that might change. I'm just not quite sure yet. Otherwise, it's not full of coolant yet. I'm just waiting to make sure that everything is how I want it before I fill it up, because I don't want to leak any out on the ground if I need to change something. Next, I'm going to see about making some side panels. Alright, so now we got rid of that annoying snow. We're back at the buggy here, and so you can see I've got the gas tank out. We finished off last time with putting the radiator in right here, and I thought it was going to work. There's just not enough room. It's going against the seat too much, and I can't have the seat any more forward. As you can see, it's full of garbage in here. The gas tank was nicely mounted right here. So what I'm going to do after checking out other people's cross carts is I'm going to put the gas tank more down here, and I'm going to put the radiator back here, and I'm going to turn it around so that it's facing the right way and put it right here. So I'll have to extend a few lines, change a few things. The first thing we have to do is these tubes. I haven't liked this ever since I removed this inside bar. It's been not looking so good, and I know it's got to change. So I finally come up with the idea is the exhaust going to get moved. I'm going to cut basically right here on both sides and right here. And actually I think I'll get rid of right here. So zip and zip. And then I'm going to come with a bar straight through here, come out and be a mirror image on the other side, and then this bar is going to be further out, so the gas tank will fit right in here, radiator be here, and the exhaust will just get adjusted a little bit more out of the way. Shouldn't be a big deal. So I'm going to get started with cutting. Alright, so I got the basic idea of it done. So this is way too long still. I gotta cut it off. Just got it on here. It's nice and solid on there. Still needs to be welded all around. This piece right here is gonna come right off, and then I can finish welding around. I've capped the end there. So basically this is the idea. The other side still needs to be cut, and then it'll be like a mirror image. And then this bar coming out is gonna hug basically right around here on the tank, where the tank naturally kind of curves inward. And what that's gonna do is keep it down here. It's also gonna make it a lot easier to fill the tank instead of the tank being up here to fill. And then there'll be tons of room right here for the radiator, to go. All right, so this is what I've come up with so far. Is we've got coming out right here, extended, and the fuel tank fits in here quite nicely, and it's up nice and high. I'll just get the fuel tank and put it in there and show you guys. I also made this mount here for it. Alright, so the fuel tank is in there now. It's sitting pretty much how it's going to sit. It's nice and level on top there. Right up there, it's nice and level, so it'll be easy to fill. The bottom of it will be going up towards the engine, of course, with the hoses and whatnot. And then there's still room down here that the brackets and whatnot for the jack shaft will be able to sit down here. There's actually lots of room here for that. Now it's left enough room that in between here is where I'm going to put the radiator. Alright, so I've got the radiator roughly where it needs to be. Obviously there's no brackets made for it yet. It's just wired in there like that, holding up. The tank is a piece of wood holding it up, but the rear mount for the tank is connected. I'll need to figure out a front mount for the tank. Probably roughly same spot as where the radiator is going to mount. The radiator here, all the hoses are hooked up, and it's actually looking all right. I'm going to move it a little bit more probably up in this area, and then the fill will be up in here as well. So I just got to kind of shuffle it around a little bit here until I get it where I like it, and I think there will be plenty of room for it to breathe well back there. I'm also planning on making the sides here a little bit more breathable. So I'll show you more as I go. Alright, so I've got the tank in here now, all bolted up. I actually just found this bracket. I'm not sure what it's from, but it was a perfect match. I had to drill a couple holes right here. And then I made the radiator support here. And it goes together just like that. It's nice and solid in there. I can move the whole buggy when I try to move it. And the radiator's in there nicely as well. There's a good gap right here and good gap in between here. Should be enough cooling. These side panels are kind of restricting, so I think I'm gonna make a scoop in the side of both of them. Alright, so I've got these vents I've just made for the sides here. They're both exactly the same. Should bring in a fair bit of air. I might have to add extra fans. Now I've just been kind of messing a bit with the wiring, trying to straighten stuff out, and I've started building a dash here. And the dash is a nice fit right now. It's just loose in here. I've got my display, and I'm just trying to decide where exactly to put it. Right here I don't really like. But right up here, it's not bad. I think that would be good. Right about there, maybe a little high up on here. And then I'm thinking I'll make a cover to go up here to protect all the wiring behind. And to keep the sunlight off of it. So a little shield basically along there. Alright, so here I'm just building the dash. I've got the gauge cluster mounted. Next I'm going to try to add the ignition. Thinking right on this top line here. Alright, so I've got the dash in here, it's just loose. So the gauge cluster there looks good. The ignition is just loose. I gotta get a couple bolts here to bolt it on, and then it'll be nice and tight and it'll be good right there. These switches didn't work out so well. I tried to put them as close as possible and got them too close that I can't put one in between. There's not enough room. And these switches are also really old, and I don't have all the hardware for them. So what I'm going to do is they're just going to be temporary. I'm going to order probably tonight a panel off eBay, one of those like racing panels like I put in the Camaro, where it's just you bolt it on, 4 bolts, and then you've got switches all ready to go that you just put wires to. Super easy, and it looks really good. Okay, so I was gonna show a time lapse of me wiring this, but I don't think there would be much boringer than that. So instead I'm just gonna kind of walk through the process here. So this one is marked cluster, so it would be for the cluster right there. So obviously it's actually almost there, but it's not quite long enough. So what's going to happen is I will strip this electrical tape off of it, probably right around here, snip it completely in half there, all the wires, and then I'm going to extend the wires. I've got 3 packs here at 25 feet. I've got 18 gauge, 14 gauge, and 14 gauge, so these ones a little heavier. This should be good for a lot of things though. So I'll extend the wiring and solder the connections, put heat shrink over it, and then probably wrap it up again how it is like that with electrical tape. So I've got a bunch of them to do like that. Got the ignition right here. It's got to go to, I believe, this plug right here. I disconnected that so that I could take it off, and that looks like the only plug that it can go to. Shouldn't be hard to figure that out. Things like the horn right here, I'll probably leave for now, just because it's not a real need thing right now. And then there's lots of things like that I don't have, like tail lights. What's this one here? This one is rear light. This one is marked tail light as well. Actually, I think I do have tail light, but it doesn't really matter. I don't really need to do that. I just want to get the necessities to make it so that I can fire this thing up. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now. There's the fuel pump. That one will be needed. Alright, so I've got the cluster wires all extended and the ignition wires all extended. So before I get fuel for it and whatnot, I'm kind of running out of time today, so I'm just doing something quick. I am removing the e-brake because it does not work well, and as you can see on this side, it's not in very good shape either, but it constantly gets hung up, it drags, and I've tried adjusting it, it just does not work well. And I've actually got a way better idea for an e-brake from some leftover parts from the bike. Alright, the e-brake is all off here now. You can see pretty rusty, the star gear here. It might have moved, actually doesn't look too bad inside there. The rest of this is pretty rusty. It's missing the pad on this side, it's delaminated. The springs are pretty corroded. Alright, e-brake's all removed now and it rolls nice and easy. It was definitely hanging up before. Alright, I'm going to try for a first start here. We got the jump pack hooked up right here, and we got fuel in the tank now. It's about half full of premium. The radiator is only about half full of coolant, but just for a quick startup, we won't really need it full. The engine oil, little sight glass down there, it is actually full, but we're headed downhill, so most of the oil is up front here. That's why it's not really showing in the glass, but it is good. So I will put turn the power on here, and now turn the key. I'm going to cycle the key a couple times because the tank is completely empty. Well, it was, now it's full. Just let the fuel pressure get pumped up to where it needs to be. Yeah, that's probably got it. Now we got our on switch right here, or start switch, and got throttle. It's right there. Okay, let's see here if it'll start up. Wow, that was quick. Alright, it just died on its own. But that's good enough. That was a pretty good start. And that sounded really good. I wasn't revving it very high because it is cold. So just for a start, it was only going up to about like 3 grand, somewhere around 3 or 4. It goes up to 15,000. So yeah, that was a really good first start there. That's really good. So I'll show you guys more later on.